all of our employees after the incident offered them additional assistance. It's actually confidential, but we let them know our borough employees were present, and they were offered additional services after their the meeting that they did have. So the borough does have an employee assistance program with professional counselors on staff, and we did utilize that, and we do continue to offer those services to all borough employees in cases of everyday basis and after incidents like that. They were contacted immediately, and the kids were put in touch with them.
But again, my point is,
We can't force them to make those.
I understand that. That doesn't. But my point is, if the children have seen a police officer and they have said, "We're here, we're on the outside, joining the crowd. If you need any help, we're behind you." He's telling us that would have gone a long way just by knowing that they were there and present to help you. So I'm not saying that the police didn't respond correctly. I think they did a very intelligent evaluation of the situation and proceeded in the most advantageous way for the whole crowd. But the point I want to make in this is that I do think that it had been done in a different manner. If they had contacted them sooner, it would have done more for them psychologically and reinforced their position there since they were so young, versus not having them not available not to see them until after 11 o'clock at night. That's my main point here.
Yes, and I can tell you, Mary, the pool manager and assistant pool manager are aware of the issue that was created because they were not telling the lifeguards that the police were in the parking lot.
I agree with her. I think that the officers were caught off guard. They had, no clue that anything like this was going to happen. They were short-staffed. And I think that it was better for them to be dealing with those numbers of people.
But when they got,
and it should have been the manager at the pool letting her staff members know that we do have police on site.
In uniform to show his presence there, then somebody should have definitely been talking to these kids.
Yes, and I
I mean,
mean,
the parents make a decision to allow their children to have a summer job, and when they have a summer job with a municipality, they're assuming their children are going to be safe. Probably safer than any other summer job that they have, because they assume that they are going to get backup if necessary from the police department or anybody else of authority. So their children, they leave the house, they expect everything to go all right. So I think everybody should try to think, how would you feel if you sent your child off to do a summer job and that happened to you, and they come home and start telling you about what they were confronted with? I don't think you want your child there the next year doing the summer job. So you need to build some confidence in the parents in this town so that they know that they can trust that their children are not going to be put in jeopardy, or if they are, they at least know that the police are there.
Well, one thing I would love to see is hopefully this never happens again. That's the whole intent behind the new procedures. But one thing I would like to see is, from an administrative standpoint and the full manager, is have sort of an emergency plan if something like that were to happen. Maybe not even a big party, but say we have somebody loose around town, something happens. The plan should be to get everybody into the snack shack or something, lock the doors, set up some type of transportation to come out, the parking lot doors, some kind of emergency plan, because we can't wait for something to happen and then figure out what we can do to better. In the news, like I said, we need to be a little more proactive, not so much reactive. So.
it's great that you brought it up. Justin, he's actually was discussing this either last week or the week before. We do have some emergency action plans, I guess you could say, multiple for certain scenarios at the swimming pool, but we are going to be working, and the fire department and the police department and EMS actually do come in the beginning of every season to talk to the kids, but we are going to regroup for the next pool season and talk about adding some additional scenarios as well. Yeah, we just started discussions on that, so it's a good point for you.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be another full party like that. Any kind of incident, something happens, Sellersville, comes over, and just begin instead of that.
Yeah.
My other suggestion that I made the other night was that we start you going to make that recommendation?
That has already been made from the police department, from my office, from the council. We were very upset that the police did not know that this party was taking place.
But this could happen with anything, just as long as they know what's going on in town.
Absolutely.
So they can be prepared ahead of time. This is a blindsided
I don't think they're gonna get anybody against that. I think we're all on board that that needs to start happening.
Okay, so this isn't going to affect anybody's constitutional rights to assemble or anything else. This is just giving the police a heads up on what's going on, awareness of what is happening in town. It could be as simple as just a traffic problem could occur. But just as long as they know at this particular time, there's going to be an influx of people coming into the town.
Absolutely.
Okay? Why did you go?
Yes, sir.
I had one thing. After the council meeting, right after the pool party, I was actually kind of offended at the fact that Barbara Krantz had suggested that the following day the pool be shut down and cleaned professionally and everything else. Why wasn't that done immediately after this party instead of waiting until after a week later and hearing from all the residents and everything else and then doing it? I mean, that could have been my kids playing there, your kids playing there. I mean, anything could have been there. I mean, for a week, it was let go. Over a week. I mean, to hear that after a week later, it's a slap in people's face. Everybody that was here, everybody that claimed that, you know, stuff had things happen at their property, you know, that's just a slap in the face. Over a week later to react to that situation. It should have been done immediately. And I, for one, am really offended at that.
Well, they did have regular pool service taken in the next morning. You know, they do all the water testing and the regular water evaluation. They were in that one morning.
Well, I'm aware of that, and Public Works was out early in the morning cleaning up. But I mean, I was out talking to residents. I'm good friends with people that live immediately in the area, even further down the street, closer to Oak Lane. You know, my friend has a fully fenced-in backyard, and she said she was finding stuff in there. How do people even get in there? You know, like.
Yeah.
My question is, I did a little surfing on the web, and I was able to find pictures of those people walking into that pool with shoes on, muddy shoes on. Okay, so, and with glasses in their hands. So there were obviously, there was alcohol in the pool, possibly, I'm not saying, but they had cups in their
I'll go
hands.
ahead and say they were drinking, sure.
There's probably alcohol in the pool, there's mud coming in off of the shoes. I saw several people with shoes on. It's a fast video, you gotta know how to stop it, but you can stop it and you can stop the frames and look and see what's really going on. Even though it looks nice and clean and everybody said, well, there's not, but there was no drinking, it doesn't look bad. Stop each frame and take a look at it. You'll see what really happened. And the pool should have been drained, as far as I'm concerned, because it had rained. They were bringing mud off the surrounding areas. And whatever alcoholic beverages or whatever they were dropping in the water. And they did have, if anybody took the time to look, they did have a party previously in New Jersey. Because if you noticed, the name of their party was Part 2. There was a Part 1, and it happened in New Jersey. Somebody should have been searched. I don't know what kind of name they gave whoever took the call, but when these big black cars start showing up with security, something's got to go off. These kids have their phones. Get on the internet. Get on the internet and look it up. Figure out what's going on. There's tweets all over the place.
You got caught. Yeah, and then you saw that the paper interviewed the Holiday House, and they said the same could happen to us, we need to change our rules. You know, so
Well, that's the other question I have now is there was this big discussion about the changing of the rules, and Nate wrote up the big thing and all that, and then at the end of the meeting, somebody said, I think it was Flo, or somebody said, well, why don't we just stop the parties?
It wasn't
Who is it?
You don't want to stop the parties because it's a good resource for the town.
I don't think there's support for that. I think it's just one person on council who's frustrated. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get consensus to stop renting out the pool. I mean, it's,
I think a lot of the changes that have been recommended and were discussed at the last meeting are very good, and they're going to minimize the chance of something like this ever happening again. But I think many residents' concern is we had a policy where that was in place, and if that policy was adhered to, this party wouldn't have happened on that Sunday. There probably would have been more time, and you might have caught this before it ever happened at all. So what's an assurance to the residents who are now going, well, they already broke their own policy once, they're gonna put all these new policies in place. What's gonna say they're not going to just not look at them again?
Because we're wiser now for it happening once.
How did it
It's
happen?
basically what it is.
How did it happen? Do we know? How was it
How
approved?
did we rent it on Sunday?
Yeah. How was that approved, and was Dan O'Hare on vacation that week?
I don't think he was.
Because somebody said he was on vacation. Somebody said both he and Andrea were both on vacation.
No.
And then somebody
we were not
said
on
you
vacation.
weren't.
We were not on vacation. This was, of all the 61 birthday parties that happened at the pool that time, or this summer, Dan and I actually were involved with one, and that was this one. And it was only because our interim park director did bring it to our attention because somebody last minute wanted to have a party on Sunday. It is not a policy now to have parties on Sunday. It's a matter of, we normally have an event on a Sunday night, a movie on a Sunday night. This Sunday night, the movie was getting moved to the next weekend because of the reschedule of the DJ event from the weekend before. They wanted to have one last weekend, so the pool staff, they wanted to have one last weekend. So they wanted to move DJ night and the movie night to the same weekend, which was going to be the following weekend. So they had it open Sunday. The guy contacted the borough at the last minute to have a birthday party for his younger brother. And he, I believe that was on Wednesday before the Sunday. And the interim park and rec director did ask Dan and I if it would be okay. He did expect to have over 100 people. He had already sent out invitations, but still wanted to have his event. He was not going to be able to have it at the park at the location he scheduled that in New Jersey because they had a sewage backup. And he was asking if he could have it at our facility. He did offer to give a donation. However, we did make it very clear that we have a set fee schedule at the borough for renting of pools. So if a man wanted to give a donation, that would be fine, but no donation would be required. So at that time, because the Sunday was open and there was no other rents, we did let the park and rec director know very clearly that as long as he's following all the other policies and procedures, including the no alcohol policy in our park, then we didn't see an issue with having it on Sunday night, as long as they followed every other policy. And then we found out later that she had allowed him to have a party until midnight, but it was a birthday party for her younger brother, and that was it. That was the end of the story. So by younger brother, mind you, all of our staff was aware, because he had showed up with young children, we had thought younger brother meant it was going to be a young child, so we actually had staff members staying to do swim tests for the first hour of the event. So that's how it got scheduled in the first place.
So,
And you can see it confuses because the people on the website and look up the rules, it says rentals on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Because Sundays are reserved for movies. But a lot of times our schedule does get filled up. We have a lot of pool parties going on pretty much every day from the summer.
but isn't
And
there
they
an
go on
ordinance
Saturday.
that says that there's no? I thought I
I'm sorry, I
found
can't hear you.
I thought I found the ordinance that said, I'll have to look it up again, it said there is no parties on Sunday.
I'm not aware of an ordinance that specifies that there's no pool parties on Sunday. To Dan and I, both of ours, to our knowledge, the only reason we didn't have parties on Sunday was because it was normally reserved for the movies. But because the movie was already getting moved, then the night wasn't going to be open.
But it didn't even occur to, I mean, I'm just going back to what I saw him say on the news, that they were told 3 times, no alcohol. So after the second time, you want to say forget it?
We had told our animal park and rec director in an email to them that there was going to be just a reminder of the regular rules, including the no alcohol, which we make sure for a lot of different events that happen in the park system all the time. And even when people have weddings, a lot of times you have to let them know
3 times usually?
I don't know that it was 3 times. I know Dan did not have any further communication regarding that party pass that first time. I didn't either. Regarding, after our emails through the interim park and rec director, we had no other contact. Over the weekend, I think there was a full staff member who talked to him a couple hours before the event because they still didn't have the final head count. And reminded them of all of our regular policies, which would be that and a call reminder as well.
But is it normal? I mean, that's a normal situation where you have to tell them 3 times?
Yeah,
not to have
I think we
alcohol?
are very clear. I think we are very clear with a lot of different events that happen in town about the alcohol policy. They had different questions that were asked. I think they did get a phone call. Somebody was asking earlier in the day about getting tickets to come to the facility for the event that night. And they weren't sure, the girl who had taken the phone call wasn't sure what was happening. So she called the pool manager, that's when they were calling about the head count and asked something about tickets. And the guy had responded, no, we don't have tickets, it's the invitation that I had given out.
Can you answer something for me? This was a while back, and you might remember. There was, I don't know whether it was the pool or whether it was for something else, but there was something that council discussed about, and I think it was for the pool, about this whole ticket situation, that there was not to be tickets sold at the door, that it was only to be, that there was to be no cash taken at the door, and it was only for the tickets. Was that for the pool? I mean, only tickets were to be accepted.
You remember, but it's actually the opposite. A few years ago, I want to say 2010 off the top of my
It was
head,
2010.
we did have a Boro business that came to us and they had wanted to rent the pool for an after-hours pool party, except they did want to charge a nominal fee to, I think, recover some of the costs, if they're going to provide.
It was like pizza party or something.
Yeah, and they wanted to recover, and we had not had anyone who wanted to sell tickets before, so we did go to Borough Council and ask them if they wanted to allow this type of events, they'd have to approve an ordinance to change that. And they did at that time approve an ordinance that would allow for groups to sell tickets to events to get into the pool.
Is that the same thing? Are we talking the same type of thing? This party?
For this party, we
Would it
were
fall
not
under
under the
that?
impression at all. Actually, the pool staff didn't know that ordinance change had been made. They were still under the impression that you aren't allowed to sell tickets or pay or charge a fee to get into any kind of pool party.
Because the problem was when I looked that ordinance up, it was 2010-19 or something like that, 18. It never passed. I could not find that it ever passed because it was tabled and then it was changed into a different.
It could be I'm remembering it wrong, but the kids at the pool the staff at the pool actually thought that it didn't get, or they didn't know that the change had been made either. Could be I'm remembering wrong. Do you get one of you remember that?
I just remembered that.
It could be that. I don't think I remember wrong, but it could be. But the staff at the pool, regardless, was under the impression that you weren't allowed to actually sell tickets or pay a fee. Did it get voted in?
I remember this. I don't remember if it was one or six, though. They voted.
I think it was tabled and it never went back to.
Well, they voted in 2010 to allow that particular business to have a party. It was a local business here in town. They had their pizza party and they charged some kind of nominal fee. I can't sit here without looking it up to tell you whether it was an ordinance change or they just voted to allow it.
Yeah, because the ordinance number, when I looked it up again, it had a different explanation, and I was like, wait a minute, whatever happened? And I saw it was tabled, and I knew there was something about selling tickets and taking cash at the door, and that it said they'll only allow the tickets, and there was to be no cash.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Rather than taking cash at the door, rather than taking.
Yeah, they were.
I think it did say tickets and no cash.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't catch what that was when you were getting it.
Yeah.
But regardless, the pool staff was under the impression that you weren't allowed to do it. You weren't allowed to charge. If you were paying for a birthday party, then you had to pay for the birthday party and not charge your birthday guests to go to the party.
But were they taking money at the door?
Were they actually at the event? I don't know. I don't know. We did interview all the kids who were involved, and even the one who was at the back, she was running lockers, and she couldn't say definitively that they were. But I think one of the pool managers might have been the ones who thought they were actually accepting
$40.
tickets or cash, maybe.
Because that's what it was advertised as, $40.
Anyone else on that subject? Yes, sir.
I guess you could say I'm motivated to say something now. First of all this talk on the pool, I want to let you know that I am also frustrated with it, and that, so what I'm about to say has nothing to do against people complaining about what happened to the pool. What I had is more of a question and reporting. As you know, I live up in Park Ridge Development. We come down Park Avenue every day, a couple times a day. We usually go to this end of town, down Lands, South Perkasie, or Silverdale. So we pass the pool all the time on the Park Avenue side. All around that park, there's no dogs allowed inside. Now, I never heard of anybody bring any of this up, especially people that live around there, because I see it time and time again. People are taking their dogs in there, running around. I never see them with plastic bags, which people normally use. I refer to it as diaper bags. That's what I call them. So I'm assuming they're not really cleaning up the bathroom. I'm assuming that they're probably taking them in there to run, go to the bathroom, and that's a health issue there with no signage in. I mean, with signs there, they're walking right past them, right out of it, and I'm assuming there's signs on the other side, the other end also. What's even worse, over the years, and this is over the years, and as I can see it, some of these people are walking back to the same neighborhood around there, which are some of the people complaining about this pool stuff. Well, now I'm going to complain about what they're doing also, so we can get two issues done at one time. Now, I have seen over the years, I've seen Public Works in there doing something when the dogs are in there, and worse yet, I see police cars in there all the time. And I've seen this happen with dogs in there when the police cars are there. I see nothing happen. There's an officer sitting right back there. You can even ask if he ever arrested anybody there doing that, and how many times. And if that is so, that they arrested him how many times, why is it still going on? So there you can have your proof.
Well, is the Menlo Park area zero dogs allowed?
I didn't hear the first part of it.
Yeah, he was
Park.
saying Menlo Park, yeah, he said saw the no dogs allowed sign there. Is that the
I see it all the time.
I know. First of all, I wouldn't be able to see the signs, and my dog would go anywhere, so I don't know.
Well, service dogs are not, in fact, you don't ever see a service dog on those 20-foot stretched out leases. The law states a 6-foot lease.
Did you know that, Nelson?
Is there signs there, Officer Fox? Yes. Okay, well, it's confirmed, there are signs.
There's definitely a leash law.
There are signs.
Yes, Officer
They've been
Fox.
there for years.
He just said it there, that.
There's one sign, but
I suppose the cops are up there, sitting up there, either taking a break or else they want to catch people to stop sign or something else when there's a real health issue going on and they do nothing about it. But I can see it. I see it. I might be deaf, but I can even hear things driving and stuff. None of my hearing nerve. I can hear noise. I just can't. It's my ear or stuff. There's different hearing, just like there's different blindness. The mayor and I both know this, I suppose. We know this kind of stuff because we are one of those people. And like I say, people that walk their dogs around on public property or private property, worse yet, on 20-foot leashes and stuff, you never see a service dog 20 foot ahead of its thing, no matter what kind of service dog it is. Granted, they do get exercise, and they're at proper places and legal places to do it too. I think the mayor could probably explain that to you, and I know that much.
Well, actually, just as soon as we got all this, we are going to check out the signs and what the ordinance says. There is a leash law in Perkasie, so all dogs must be on a leash, they're not supposed to be loose. In the state of Pennsylvania, if a service dog is attacked by a dog not on a leash, there's an automatic $1,000 fine in the state of Pennsylvania.
How many people knew that kind of stuff?
Can you recall?
Service dog got more rights and more things than I do.
We can ask Marcia. I'd like to go ahead.
Can you recall ever being up there? I mean, I don't know what your shifts are, ever being up there, any dogs in there, roaming around, doing anything while you were up there?
Not that I know of. And I'm only aware of one sign, and that's located at the intersection of Third Park on the Meadows side. That's the one sign I can,
So it's at the exit.
it's at the exit of the park.
all I got, yeah.
If there's other signs around the outer edge of the park, I can't recall, but I know I observed one sign.
Yeah, I've only ever seen that one sign, and to be quite honest with you, if you can't have dogs in the park, what the hell is the use of having a park?
There's a dog park.
Well, there is, but how do you get there? I mean, I understand maybe, and I know down in Lenape Park, for example, there's another sign right when from leaving the baseball fields when you're walking on the path, but it's kind of over towards where there's some picnic tables.
This is no dogs.
So I understand they might want to set aside a certain area, but how can you blanket say there's an ordinance that you can't have dogs in the park? I mean, and
Along the path, you see them all the time.
Yeah.
This is only in the pool area where it is. They
Yeah,
get
I
down.
know, you mean the middle area where the pool, and the canopy is and everything else. But
Wow.
Where the canopy is, around the middle of the pool area, right?
This is the pool area, the Menlo Park.
Menlo Park is the one.
There's no dogs allowed in there.
Lenape Park is everything else now.
Yeah.
And most of this,
The signs located
and I've seen
on
people
there.
go back to their house and stuff lots of times. In fact, the one woman on the corner, just the other week, her one dog, she had two going over there all the time, was running up the street towards me. I had to stop halfway down Park Avenue there, and she's still chasing up. Dog's off the leash and everything else, running after her. And I'm stopped. But if the thing would have hit my truck and got killed or something, I would have been blamed. I mean, for goodness sakes, I'm doing the legal thing. And then worst of all, then she's standing there thanking me and stuff. Well, we're inside the truck, and there's another witness in there with me. And I said a few choice words that stayed inside the truck. And if they want to know, they got talked about. That idiotness to me. Pure idiotness. I can't go somewhere where it says I gotta keep out and stuff like that and everything, but why is other people allowed to get rid of it and ignore it and everything else? Like I said, it's a health issue. They can't understand it. I grew up on a hobby farm. My dad was a steel worker. We weren't farmers, but he thought he was. So I learned a lot. We grew our own beef, we grew our own vegetables and stuff. And I never wanted to be a farmer. I wanted to live in a borough. But I learned a whole lot, and I know a lot about animals. We had dogs, cats, and all that stuff too. And we served things better than what I see city folks doing.